Rudy, good to see you.
Good to
Would
see
you go
you,
ahead and introduce yourself for the people that don't know who you are?
My name is Rudy Gonzalez. I am one of the owners of Mythic, a new gym in Tacoma. I'm a Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. I got a Taekwondo black belt. That's a joke.
Okay.
What else? I've been training since I was a youngin', and now I'm a 31-year-old guy trying to make a difference in the community where I live at. You know, that's it.
Active competitor in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
and,
now I really enjoy competing and grappling. That is like my new sustainable passion in terms of like challenging myself and all that. But I've been a lifelong competitor for so long. I have like my dad to thank for that, especially. So competition to me is not like this like new found love. It's always this love now where I'm trying to make sure I can do it for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah. Well, that takes some planning.
It's a lot of planning.
Yeah, to be able to actually like structure your workouts and stuff like this. You don't hurt yourself or bulletproof the bad spots or the vulnerable spots.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wait another 10 years.
Yeah.
It's even worse.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things. I mean, I have a passion for like the exercise part of it, but one thing that I've started to learn now more than anything is always to have a coach that's going to direct you towards some type of goal. I'm super like lucky the way that I was brought up. I'm a typical SoCal kid. I had a really cool dad and a really nice mom, and my dad did a good job of trying to implement physical fitness to me really young. I of course like fought against it like probably most children will, and I like tried to live outside of my dad's like shadow that I like thought as a kid.
Yeah.
He was really into like lifting weights and bodybuilding, and then I found like my own passions with sports. I got into calisthenics really early for some reason, but then as like time passed on and I realized, you know, what was what, lifting weights became this thing now where I was doing it, I loved it, I was really bad at like the whole organization. So now it's just kind of this passion that's transcended the couple of generations that I've been alive. I have a coach to this day that tells me how to work out, what to eat. I think that's an invaluable thing for me specifically. Yeah.
Well, probably more than just you, but
Absolutely.
always having like a coach, or I always say a mentor, because like, you know, always, because anybody that's trying to achieve something that's higher than they're already at, you're gonna need somebody there. You
Yeah.
need somebody even just guide you, even just to know that you have to be accountable for another person, even.
Yeah, I think that is, yeah. I was having that conversation with someone else literally yesterday. Yeah, I'm trying to change parts of my life actively at all times. So for me now, a big thing that I'm really honed in on is locking in my nutrition, really being consistent as the months go on, because now one of the biggest contributors that I've noticed as I've aged is if my nutrition is not locked in, then everything else that is a priority for me like falls to shambles.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a lesson for anybody listening. If you're not super dialed in on your nutrition, give it a shot. Give it 6 months and see how you feel. And then if you're like me, sometimes you fall off and you're like, wow, this is really bad. Like, you know, the bad food, it tastes good, like, but that's a creature comfort, and that comfort will fuck you up.
Yeah, dude, I'm guilty of just that as well. I mean, there's certain times in like our industry where we're doing really well consistently for a couple of months financially. So going out to eat sushi is not as big of a weight as it could be sometimes.
Right.
You know. So, but yeah, it's interesting now. I'm understanding the whole ebbs and flows of how I feel on a day to day, and it's a learning process. You know, I don't know everything.
Right.
You know, I'm pretty sure everyone says that they don't know everything. So I'm just trying to see how far I can go with whatever it is I'm doing. It's kind of goofy, but I come from the city of angels, right? Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and everyone over there is a movie star in here and in here.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the Hollywood fucking thing.
yeah, I think so. I think that there's like a certain like vanity that comes with living in like the region that I lived in. We're super blessed, sun every single day. It's about 15 minutes of like cumulative rain over the whole year. Everyone's attractive. Everyone's like on like the new trend of like what's going on, like very progressive and like forward thinking mindset of what they can do better. And I think that intention really sets it up for people to advance and like find their path in whatever way that it is. And like for me, I'm very lucky to have the mentors that I had growing up, because through 90% of my, like, I guess like my endeavors, everyone was very forward thinking. No one was ever really like shutting down the whole new generation of kids coming up, No one was really waggling our fingers at us, telling us that like we were wrong. They were just trying to guide us a little bit better, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You do see a lot of the negativity, especially in like our industry.
Yeah.
It's an industry where everybody has to constantly prove how valid they are.
Absolutely.
And it's very easy for people to forget.
Yeah.
Very easy. Like, oh, they stopped posting on social media like we were talking about. Like, did they fall off? Like, they get accustomed to that consistency, even if they're not necessarily a fan or a big follower. It could be a hater, but they know you're out there. And the reason I bring that up is because we were talking before the podcast started about the social media thing. And it was always like, why would you record yourself? Why would you do all this stuff? Why would you go into social media when you can train? You know what I mean?
Of course.
And then also you don't want to be the YouTube athlete back in the day. You don't want to be the guy that's showing up like, I learned this fucking jiu-jitsu move on YouTube. Even though nowadays, like, it's very common. You can learn a lot of good stuff. It's a good way to practice. I do think that you can't get it. Obviously, you can't get it all from YouTube. You need to be able to go to a place like the gyms that we were both at and put these things into practice and pressure test things. But definitely things have shifted.
Yeah. And
then it's good to hear that you came from an environment where they're just trying to guide you and let you do your thing. Grew up as, my dad's I'm Army brat. You know how it is, how that can be very much like, no, this is done this way, which I think there's a lot of merit in that as well. But it can really stifle people's creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, dude, we have to be creative as people. That's like, it's our personalities. All of our personalities are individual, and we're just trying to find synchronicity in who we spend our time with. It's a weird balance, because everyone has and needs different things like inside their life, and that's the biggest part that I'm trying to understand now. Stepping into the coach role, where I once thought when I was a coach for Wave Combat Sports, shout out Coach Michael B. He's got a fight coming up the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to fucking smash, dude.
It's in like Texas, right?
Yeah.
I was watching a bunch of people get matched up on that exact card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all need different things. We all need to be around different people to expose ourselves to the things that we will and will not accept in our life. And at certain points, I grew up like super blessed. Everyone was always investing into my own creativity. My parents were always pushing me to do sports. I played music. I can read and like actually understand like sheet music and stuff like that, which is cool. It's not a perspective that many people have. What else?
I did music. Played clarinet, saxophone too, and then keyboard or like piano keyboard before that. And it's kind of funny that you say that, because it's offered in school a lot, but like nowadays I don't hear or see as much about it. Real quick, if anybody's wondering, bit the fucking back of my tongue, so it sounds like I got a little bit of mush mouth. We got this. She's 15, Koliani. She's going to nationals at the end of this month, and I'm going with her to Delaware, teaching her some clinch stuff, and I just bad spot. Just bumped under the chin and bit the back, and I was like, a little bit of blood.
Yeah.
Shame on me for owning a mouth guard company and not having it in.
We take risks, dude, don't we?
Take risks.
Yeah. Oh man. I used to.
It's minimal, but if you can't, if someone's like, Zach's fucking bush mouth today.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. Shoot. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, good. That's good that you're able to kind of go back into your level of creativity. Like how you said, it's kind of like social media and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. Now everybody has the opportunity to showcase their personality, and that's kind of that's the selling point, I think, for what we do. Everybody has their cookie cutter version of themselves that they have to apply. You know, I'll use the analogy of lining up at the bank. Like,
oh my goodness,
you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
So what I was talking about the other day is I don't know if you know who Richard Sherman is, football player for the Seahawks for a long time, and then 49ers. But there's a moment where it's called the tip. They tipped the ball from the 49ers, Michael Crabtree, and it's what got us in the Super Bowl. And right after that, got a microphone in his face, and he's crashing out. He's just going off. It's like, yeah, that's what you get from a competitor right after high-level competition.
Absolutely.
The highest level, arguably, obviously, of his career at that point, but it's just like a fighter afterwards. Some of them say wild shit, you know, and that's not the same guy you're going to get at the bank or at the grocery store. Hopefully you're not that intense of a guy at the bank. I'm sure it happens, but...
There's usually a bag in your hand if you're that intense at the bank, dude.
Yeah. Bag or a fucking weapon.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan. Obviously, like everything I'm doing now with the social media stuff, and it's helped me take off in a way that I didn't even really expect. I was just kind of testing the waters, and it's like every time you do it, it works. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring up some of the stuff that's been going on lately. I know you've been really going hard on the social media stuff.
Yeah.
Couple things have come up that have been a little controversial.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into that at all?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Sure.
So I'm going to let you just go ahead and have the floor for this. And,
yeah.
You know, so just what's your thoughts? Again, I saw some of the red flag comments and stuff like that. And then I saw like other people hitting you up too, and you have a valid point in a lot of your stuff,
sure,
and they do as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so that's where it's good that we can all come together as a community and be like, hey, we're all part of the same fucking community. Let's talk about it. So what do you want to say about this?
One, I have a coach for social media, so I understand how we can grab attention.
Yes.
And I'm brave enough to face the consequences of my words and actions at all times because of how I was raised.
Right.
Me being encouraged to learn how to express myself in a constructive way was one of the greatest skills that my mom and dad both gave me. When I joined the military, it was a culture where we dampen our personality, and it's for a higher purpose.
Exactly.
And when we do that, we understand the concept of a team and winning together, losing together, if we hadn't understood that already. And for so many years, I practiced dampening my personality and making sure that I tried to keep myself as non-animalistic as possible, because inherently that's what we all are. We're animals. We're not so far removed from killing ourselves or killing others with sticks and stones.
Yeah.
So when I got the opportunity to, when I left the military and I started trying to understand how martial arts was important to me in my life, a lot of my decisions and things that I started to really delve into were just things that we can't really argue. Red flags, for example. Attention, like grabbing attention on social media so that everyone pays attention, like no matter what, is the biggest thing that's going to get people, no matter if they like that or hate that,
agreed,
to look. And unfortunately, like I'm not counting likes, I'm not counting comments. But as time goes on, my videos will just keep moving forward. And eventually I'll be able to direct the messaging in the way that I want to direct it, so that I can further have more time on camera to explain myself. I like to think that I'm kind of funny with the perspective that I have sometimes, because the way that like we have almost like this elitism inside of martial arts is with everything. I was a junior black belt and then had to go through a whole other ladder to get my adult black belt as a Taekwondo practitioner when I was like a kid. And there were, black belt only classes, competition style teams, demonstration teams. And a lot of the precursors were that you had to be of a certain rank to do that. That's fine. Then I started to watch people treat each other differently as like a child. And as a child, we really have no like obliviousness to how people are interacting with each other. A lot of the times we kind of just see it for what it is.
Yeah.
This is going to be a common theme if we keep going through the story of this, but I ended up getting asked to leave the Taekwondo school. My dad would take us and he would like run with one of our dogs around and like exercise while we're exercising, setting the standard. And I remember one Saturday we are training and during the transitory period from one class to another where I was intending to stay, my dad comes in and very calmly tells me, hey, we're leaving. Okay. So we left, and I guess outside earlier, the Taekwondo coach was like getting on my dad about not being able to pay for like a promotion. My dad wasn't rich. So
Martial arts are expensive for anybody asking.
yeah, and like moving forward, it was, well, if I can't do that, I'm gonna go do something else. And luckily enough, I headed in the right direction and got into more combat related martial arts that were like more direct application with, I mean, there's nothing wrong with like a point scoring style, but there's other styles out there that are directly related towards the intention of finishing someone.
More realistic versus sport.
I would say so. Yeah. Their application in like the way that we normally move through life is more relatable because everyone knows how to fight, even if you don't train.
You're right.
And
it's in our DNA.
Yeah. So now the big thing for me is understanding, as I'm getting older, I never really was able to process or even articulate this as a child or even as a young man. What are the things that I can do to have a martial art that I am passionate about be as close to realistic as possible? And then how can I promote longevity while practicing the martial art? Most of the time when we're in the martial arts community, we're surrounded by what we call people hobbyists, but we're all hobbyists.
It's a good point.
And we all like benefit from being with each other, whether it's through skill or through like the socialization aspect. So understanding the perfect mix of the skill and the socialization is what I've wanted to create with my training environment. If anyone ever comes to my training environment, I'm the quote unquote, the CLA guy right now in the Pacific Northwest. There's some more of you guys out there. I know that there are. The constraint-led approach. I teach Jiu-Jitsu and grappling through games. So I don't drill without resistance.
We've talked about this.
We've talked about this, yeah. So because I demand a certain type of op tempo inside of my training room, all the socialization is able to happen after the training session, off the mats. Because typically we're going to go into another training session right after. And we really keep the realism of what's going on present in the room. There's guys and gals who come from different lifestyles that had no implementation of being physically competitive or any martial arts or any exposure to things that are almost like encouraging us to be creative. And now what I'm trying to create with my training room is the ability to learn a realistic martial art, force yourself to use your brain in a creative way to accomplish the task, and then throw the socialization part in there. The red flags. The exclusivity of a black belt only club, I don't actually think that it's the worst thing in the world. I understand. But we have to look at our intentions of what it is to pass on the knowledge to the next generation. There are no secrets, and there are no things that we can essentially like hide from our athletes or students.
Right.
So we might as well just try to introduce them to them at the earliest stage in their like life as a martial artist, so that now they can start to stimulate their own creativity, they can adapt, and then they can reintroduce a new perspective to us that we as coaches have to kind of set our ego aside and go, this person brings up a valid point. And why do they bring up a valid point? Well, if they did it, it most likely works. It's been one of the biggest things that has saved me in my own career by keeping myself out of my own way, by listening to the athletes that have come up to me. And I won't name his name, but one athlete did come up to me one time and he looked me straight in the face and he goes, I don't feel like there's anything that I can get from your class.
Okay.
And it was this weird thing where he didn't say it maliciously, with no bad intention.
Yeah, it's one of those matter-of-fact things.
Yeah, and he had been someone that I had been training with for multiple years at this point, multiple schools, and he was like a big supporter of me. So I knew that it came from a place of like love.
Okay.
And then I'm sitting there and I go, you know what, he's right. And then of course he exposed me to the constraint-led approach. And then before I know it, I'm deep diving in books, I'm listening to different podcasts, I'm reaching out to different coaches who actually utilize this so that I can try to change as a coach. And what ended up happening was I went from being all drilling to all CLA, like kind of like overnight.
Okay.
And it was because I realized that the demand of my customers were that they wanted a training environment that stimulated them more.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say just a couple things real quick about that whole thing. So first of all, the black belt co-op happened at my gym, Vital Jiu-Jitsu, and I obviously like I'm there fucking 5 days
Every
a week,
day.
basically, and I do know their intent was to come together so they can go back out and spread that word back out, and that's where I'm like, I know you know this,
absolutely,
and but I do feel like sometimes, so dialing things back for a bit. I talked about the elitists in martial arts. And because like obviously I'm going to agree with your side.
Of course.
You're going to have that validity in that, and so is their side.
Absolutely.
And so it's just two sides of the same coin, heads or tails, in my opinion, at times. Yeah. And so as a coach on the Muay Thai side, if I'm like, all right, we want to have just high level coaches or maybe like we'll do some sparring. But again, we're hoping to come together and pass that back out. And that is imperative. So now, like, when I did see the way that they went about that, they had a bunch of, it wasn't just black belts, they brought like a bunch of the kids and stuff.
Okay,
so
that's good.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they're going to do their part.
Yeah.
Here's what I do like to say is you had a good point, and it is easy to look at it as like, I'm not a part of that, but like that could be looked at as like, why are you guys the only ones that are allowed to be there?
Sure.
Or sort of thing. So there's a perspective on both sides. What I will say, for their perspective and mine, April will be 15 years I've been in the sport, and it'd be weird to have somebody that's a year or two in the sport be like, I want to be a part of that. And it's like, I get it. I'm there 5-6 days a week. You come be a part as much as you want. Just like in one of your videos, you're like, show up at the gym.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and it's the same way with us. And it's not going to be met with animosity. It's going to be met with like, how do we all talk about this? First of all, let's get things down to operating level so that we're both on the same page. And then we can learn to grow. If it's going to come in with an egotism thing, then it's all that dick measuring contest. Who's got the bigger stick? However you want to fucking approach it. And fighting is a game of moments. Yeah. Jiu-Jitsu is a game of moments. All this stuff. So who's better in that moment is not necessarily an indicator of who's better.
Absolutely.
And so there's all these little nuances that go in with that. And for our normal world now, like you said, the attention grabbers, that was a good call to be like, hey, this is a way to look at it. This is a way to look at it. I know, I don't care. I like that you're like purple belt co-op. Like, fuck it. There's no reason you can't do all of the. And I thought you were being for real. I didn't know if you were just trolling. But like, all right, when you guys got the chairs for the at the spot, and you were like, new podcast. I was like, that's actually a dope setup. So I was just like, and then Connor was like, oh, we were just trolling. I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, that's actually a fucking good setup. Like, more people can do.
Yeah.
You can do anything, and like you said earlier, social media is a good platform for you to showcase your creativeness and your individualism. And I know that's exactly what you're doing. You know, I've been to your gym a handful of times now. Thank you for having Relentless mouth guards out. Hopefully you're enjoying the mouth guards. But it's a nice gym. It's set up well. It's built well. You guys have like the lifting room in the back, the kickboxing session, a big open mat. You guys have a nice open front area, nice bathroom. That's always a big key for if you guys don't train competitively. Imagine going to your day of your work and having a shitty little bathroom that stinks and is small. It's almost a make or break thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have like the biggest bathroom, but it's good. Yeah. Like, you can go in there and change. You got plenty of room. It'd be nice to have a shower, but not all gyms are set up that way. We don't own the building itself. Yeah. And but again, creating an environment that you want to show up to. You know, there's plenty of people that want to show up to the grittiest, dirtiest fucking gym that there is, spit buckets, old school, you know, Rocky boxing type shit. Okay. And I love that too. But like, I went to Italy like a year ago, or a little bit over a year ago, over the holidays, like European tour. It was in Rome. I was like, all right, there's a Muay Thai gym that's not too far out of the way that I could go to. I went in there, and it was a dirty little shithole. There was like a mouse that ran across the corner, and I was like, within 10 minutes, and I was like, because I was like, oh, what's the drop-in fee? And I was just hit the bag or something, because it was off class time, and there was one guy doing pad work, and they were like, we don't really do that. Like, what the fuck? You don't do a drop-in fee? Can I pay you money to hit your punching bag there? And they're like, reluctantly let me.
Yeah.
And they're like, I was like, can I give you like 20, 30 euros? Just fucking something. And then I went in there, I'm tapping the bag, and I was like, I seen that, and I was like, oh, fuck no. Started grabbing my gear, left, and they're like, what's going on? I was like, this place is dirty, man. You got a fucking mouse. I don't know if it was a mouse or a rat, because it was like, imagine your front desk to where the chain link fence is, where the parking lot starts on the other side. I just saw something. Oh no, I'm out. Rome's already dirty. Yeah. But no, it's just, again, getting back to it, like a gym that people are willing to show up to, that looks, it doesn't have to look great, but you have to want to show up and be like, all right, this is, I can call this place a secondary home. You guys are very inviting and stuff like that. So if anybody gets a weird feel off Rudy the way you're posting some social media, it's you're gonna walk in and feel at home. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I want to say one last thing.
Yeah,
you guys are the closest proximity jiu-jitsu school to ours.
Oh yeah.
So again, there's a big enough pie for us to all have a piece. If it was like, if I had any sort of like less than neutral stance, imagine how many people would be like, oh no, I'm not going to have them on. And people from my school might be like, why are you having them on? You know, who cares? Who cares? I told Kyle, the gym owner, last night, he's like, oh, cool. Yeah. You know, it's all love. The only time we're really like actually after each other is in those competition rounds when, hey, I'm trying to prove to myself and you're just kind of the person that's there. Sorry if we know each other.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I want to say is, like, all of yous, if you felt it was about you, I got nothing but love and respect for you.
Yeah. Go say that in front of the mirror. Anytime I'm like, that post is about me, I'm like, I'm going to go talk shit about myself in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
Because what I'm saying shouldn't be me calling you out. It should be like, I'm holding up a mirror. If this applies to you, go check yourself.
Yeah. And one big thing that I definitely learned as I was growing up, and I had probably an issue with this that made me lose a lot more fights than I ever won. But I always punch up because...
Yeah, I love that.
I always make sure that I'm chasing the person that I want to be more like. And the person that's out there that has a successful business, that has high traffic, that has an established foothold in the community is not someone that like really should be paying attention to me. Just because I have a certain amount of followers on social media doesn't actually mean anything. And my voice is hopefully going to end up becoming more of a comedic relief for the area that we live in. Because, I mean, I've been very lucky because of like my time in the military to get to travel, to get to be exposed to other types of places that train martial arts. And I can see where each place excels in their own way. And for us, one thing that I started to realize is Pacific Northwest folks excel in actually their personalities.
Okay.
And that's my own perspective coming from like sunny California, where many times where I've come here, people say, oh, it's the cold shoulder. When in reality, it's more like the dry humor. And it's more like the idea that like we know that we live in this place that is gray most of the time of the year. But if we laugh and we joke about it, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
One person that set a good example, and no one's going to know him, but I had a cousin who joined the military before me, same neighborhood that I lived in. And when he got out, he stayed in Alaska, where it's even worse and even more intense. And I watched him evolve his life and make his decisions and realize we're the ones that are responsible for entertaining ourselves and being content with our own BS. So with that being said, anything that ever offends anyone, I'm sorry, but it's never directed at you. It's actually directed at myself. You're absolutely right. So everything is more of a joke onto me because I'd rather everyone laugh at me and have something to make fun of than not laugh at all.
And I know prior to posting these things, you have a full understanding of that. That's what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You know? And so I saw one post of yours where you're like, this dude didn't show up. The guy was like, oh, blah, 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 something. And you're like, here's my gym, whatever. And you're like, he didn't show. Or whatever, something. I can't remember exactly how that went. But again, you're going to get those people that are like highly offended. Like you attack them personally. Like you said their name almost in the video when you don't. You know what I mean? Even though like, again, back to the black belt co-op thing. It was like, obviously, look, I'm like, oh, that's our gym. Again, I wouldn't take offense to that if somebody took a shot at our Muay Thai side. Specifically, even my classes. I'd be like, oh, blah, 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 whatever. I'd be like, oh, yeah. It's inherent with the environment that we put ourselves in. So, like the training culture, you don't have to do anything wrong. You just exist and somebody will be out there to hate on you.
Of course.
You know, it's like normal. But like I said earlier, it's a sport where we constantly have to prove how valid we are. That's why competitions and like, it's just a competitive sport. And you see it even in rounds where rounds get heated and people pick it up and they have a competitive round. It doesn't have to be like you're trying to hurt each other, but higher level competition. And that's where, again, dialing things back to the people that are of high level. If you're a brown belt, if you're a white belt and you're like, how come I can't show up to the black belt? And it's like, you haven't even really learned how to crawl yet. You know what I mean? Like you're not scaled up to the point where we're going to work on things. Like we're thinking high level philosopher style fucking at this level. We're having to explain that to you rather than having to develop it and then bring it back to explain to the crowd or the masses of our team. And so, and I know you guys do the same stuff. Like anybody that goes high level training, they're going to bring something back. That's something I take from the podcast itself is every guest I try to learn something from. Like you talked about being, you know, always trying to maybe not necessarily have a goal, but you come from an area where everyone's like looking to do something better, looking to improve, even if it's just fashion or looking to improve their Hollywood careers or looking to, I mean, I know people from LA too, it's just not necessarily Hollywood. It's more East and South Central and shit like that. So my neighbors down the road, she's from East LA, Latina, and he's from South Central, he's hood, and they're like, it ain't hood out here. And then all of a sudden the last couple of years, like, it's okay, like we see it now. And so I'm like, it's just different. It's not the same. It's not like, but I've had a lot of people come up I've known for throughout the years on those hood LA spots, and they have something to prove too. It's always like, who's the toughest man in the room? And it's very different from what I've seen. But after they spend some time up here, you see them adapt. And I'm like, man, I talk about this guy I knew in the warehouse days when I was a kid. His name is Robert. He's from Blackwood Street in LA. So that's like so he talks about the movies Training Day. where they show up to the Latino spot, and he's like, you know where you're at, fool? He's like, that was me. He's like, people are getting out the car. He's like, I would run right up to him. He's like, ball heads and fucking Raider jerseys everywhere.
Yeah.
And he was like, that hood right there. He's like, that's our hood. And his older brother-in-law, Rodrigo, same thing. Like, I'm not going to get too deep into it. Anyway, he went back. And this is after, like, he was bald, hardcore. Like, what are you looking at, fool? Like, we're working. And I'm like, I was just looking around. Like, what the fuck?
I'm sorry.
Like, I'm just trying to unload this truck and go home. Like, it's just, like, nothing. Like, what? So anyway, he went from that to long, like, fucking straight hair, like, pretty boy style. It was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
And he just adapted. And he went back. And he's like, I fucking hate it down here now. He's like, I would trade my whole life down here to come back up there and stuff. And it's just a perspective change for me. It's like, you can be yourself more in a lot of places where you, like you said, not having to oppress that individualism to be a certain way for the community, you know? And in this community, at the end of the day, we're all trying to uplift ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people that have anything to say, like, there is the other side. Like, you are trying to, of
course.
And I've heard you say, like, I like the Conor McGregor. I was like, look at my fucking balls, bitch.
Yeah.
I feel that same way too. Like, if somebody comes at you directly, like, hey, fuck you, I'm like, I didn't say this to cast, shade on somebody else specifically, but if you feel that way, like, don't follow me.
Absolutely.
It's pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't listen to the music I don't like.
Yeah. Being afraid to express ourselves and say things that we believe, like, wholeheartedly, I can only imagine that that's probably one of the worst things to live with as, like, a person, because we, depending on how we live, may have to oppress ourselves or oppress our personalities because of where we work, who we work with, even places that we train. But the ultimate freedom is being able to have a personality that is, like, led through, like, righteous thought and beliefs that you hold true, that have directed your life in the way that you've been. Now, that also being said, your boy ain't ducking no fades. So the biggest thing is like, I'm willing to accept the consequences of my words and my actions. But with my actions, the big thing that I always try to do, like you had alluded to earlier, with, like, the idea of scaling the practice and making things more directed towards the competitive advanced athletes. The intention of our sport is to be competitive. And I have a room that certain hours are foundations because we're wanting to be more explorative with our movements and what the thing is that we're trying to accomplish. Then I have things that are directed towards the more intermediate people who have knowledge of how to do the thing, but now I ask them to do the thing, but with more variability, more need to be creative, and being able to do it repeatably. When we kind of go past that and we want to be competitive, that's where I, as a personal coach, through my own observations and experiences living here, that's the area of exploration that we as coaches need to really delve into. And it comes from a perspective of learning about athletics. We are athletes. We practice a sport and a skill that demand us to be able to do things to other people that they don't want us to do, essentially make them do it.
Yeah.
So with the competitive class like that, no one from, like, a day one white belt to a fifth degree black belt is uninvited. Everyone is, because it's my job as the coach that's leading the session to alter games or create a structure of practice that progresses appropriately for people of the varying skill levels. I have blue belts come to my practice from different schools, and sometimes I have purple and black belts at the same practice. And if I was to put a blue and a black belt together, it's my responsibility to alter it so that the games and tasks become much more difficult for the black belt than they do for the blue belt. And finding the balance and being able to make the session suitable for all is what my biggest goal is as a coach. I don't really want to spend time standing in front of, whatever group of people that I am, discussing like the philosophy of, you know, why we do the thing that we do, unless it's pertinent to the game. Most of the times we can be philosophical off the jiu-jitsu mats, because unless we're like cleaning the mat and like helping the coach close up, that coach usually has something else that they need to do that day, not hang around and like kind of wax poetic about things that like we just tried today. It's good to have those discussions, and it's good to have that conversation and think about like what could be possible. That's what drives like the intuitiveness of the sport. But I got stuff to do. So, you know, there's a bar next door, you know, there's a bar next door. So yeah, it's all love. Like, everyone's always invited, and I want to assist in raising the level of the grappling community in the Pacific Northwest, because I think people need to know what's out here, you know. And I'm the California guy. You know, I don't want to go home to California. To be frank, like, I don't think it would actually work the way that I intend it to if I was to be still living in the same spot that I'm living in. Coming up here, I had my arrogance about me with, you know, thinking how I thought. But then as time and experience came on, I go, you know what? No, I've met a lot of good people in the community, people that have very good intentions, that are friendly, that are good. Now, how can we be better together?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's my mindset. And if I end up being like one of the first people to break through on like more of a national scale to drive the awareness to it, then it only will benefit all of us, because the rising tide lifts all boats. But that also being said, there's so many people who've come before me, and there's so many people that can teach me things. I'm constantly trying to learn from them, even if it is through like passively, not like directly conversing with them and being like, hey, like, how are you doing this thing?
Yeah.
You know, I want to see how people do the thing that they think it is, and then, you know, we can maybe criticize each other later.
Well, I love that, because one of the things that I don't know where I heard it, but it always rang true, is to coach is to learn twice. And now, like you said, you're trying to structure things differently rather than just be a student and have somebody else instruct you. Keeping things competitive. And one thing I really like what you said, and this is something that we are working on currently, is keeping the social hour when it's not class time. Staying focused when it is drilling time. I really like your approach of like, I'm not going to specifically drill, we're going to play a lot of games. And before we get into a little bit more on that, what I want to say is that's a good approach. That's not the norm out here, but it could be. And we play a lot of little fun games. Like, I'll have where I'm like, oh, you know, it's like, I don't know if it was like New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve or something. I got game stations. We're grabbing the glove and smacking each other with it off the ground and shit like that, just to have some fun, break up the monotony. But I also train our fighters, and we as a team and a collective, as I don't care if you're never going to be a competitor, but you're going to come in and we're going to teach you as if you're a high level fighter. And you're going to, again, the knowledge that comes with it. So there are times where you have to break into the who, what, when, where, and why of how we do things. Because if it's like, all right, I want you to throw a jab and kick or something like that, and then be like, well, you just have to break down the mechanics more, and like, why do you need to move forward? Why is it important to protect yourself at all times, like the referee and the rules meeting and stuff like that would tell you. So the principles of fighting are pretty much universal, the foundation, like you said, and then we can operate and be who we are. Now, we've got guys that come in, and it's a pretty, I don't say strict Muay Thai, but not necessarily traditional, because there's a lot of kickboxing, Dutch style, a lot of implementation of westernized fighting, not just traditional slow Muay Thai, adhering to like a very specific point system or something like that, getting away from the actual fighting competition style sport. You see like the sport evolving with ONE FC, with the small gloves, less of an emphasis on clinch unless it's very active and damaging, dominant, that sort of thing. So having the understanding of like, why are these things happening this way, especially from the beginning, so that when they have their time off and they're at their day job where they're fucking like, I hate having to not be myself here. I can't wait to go there, and I can kind of be myself. That's kind of like where my brain goes when you say these sort of things. And for our class, if you guys are some of the ones that know you're fucking around, or a social hour, or it's like, hey, we're partners, but we're talking about the day that happened, like, please do that when you're not drilling. Not necessarily because you guys aren't buddies, but because there's going to be a time where that is your habit, is to fuck around versus being serious. And then when those higher level gyms come in or drop-ins happen, maybe you're not as ready as you could be. You can talk anytime. You can be casual anytime. And another thing is like something I really like what you said, and this is something I brought back from when I went to Europe. Short or no warm-ups. Like being ready to go as you get there. And a lot of things that I like is when I first started, there wasn't really a pro scene out here, but everybody acted as if they were a professional. Yeah. Conduct themselves as a professional. You're going to show up, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to listen to everything. A lot more casual approach has been kind of put in there. And again, there's a place for being relaxed and stuff like that, or like just hanging out. But if there's instruction going on, or if your task is to, do these combos or to drill, and you're fucking around, you're not the only one suffering. The entirety of the community suffers, and you're actually bringing the group down rather than building them up. And that's what you talked about is maybe your stuff will take off, and you'll be one of the ones bringing this awareness to the community. And that's something I talk about all the time is let's blow up this Pacific Northwest scene. We're a lot of great individuals out here, good personalities, and a lot of skill. We just don't showcase ourselves enough and say like, hey, sometimes you need people to know we're fucking better than that school over there. We're better than, bring it on, Ohio. Yeah. Fucking whatever it is, I don't care who it is. I always kept saying Dagestan versus Washington when they were bringing them up for Koga, because I'm like, let's see it. Let's be it. Like, and if not, we'll see right then and there, and it's not going to quit. You're going to go back to the drawing board. So, yeah, man, you're doing a lot of good things, even if there's like controversy around it. And controversy is important because it solidifies things for a lot of people, or it opens up the mind like, hey, I don't have to think one way. Maybe there's somebody out there that's like just really not feeling their school, and they're like, I want to go play games. I'm gonna go check because. And real quick, what is your starting? Connor was telling the mechanic guys the other day when I dropped off his mouth guard. It's like first day's free, 7 days for $7 or something like that.
Yep. So you come in, you get a day free. You get to take as many classes as you want. So if you've never trained before, you're probably going to want to do the foundations class. If you've trained before, you're more than welcome to take any class. But I always tell people to take the foundations so that they can get an understanding of what's going on. Because when we bleed into the all levels, sometimes it gets kind of convoluted with what we're trying to do.
But you're going the deep end real quick.
Yeah,
that's how I started. It was like huge Marcelo Alonso class, like 50 people, and I'm like, no jiu-jitsu experience. Marcelo's hilarious.
Yeah. One of the biggest things is when we don't have experience and we don't have like knowledge, like doing the thing. When we get tired, that's when our brain stops to be able to process information and then make decisions that are of our own choice. They become these snap decisions that are us resorting to our lowest level of training. The games approach, is that what you were asking about? Or what were you asking?
A little bit more overall, but I did want to ask you about your games.
Oh yes.
So like,
it's take a class, right? You get it for free.
Right.
You want to see how we can make you better? $7 get you 7 days. I guarantee you, within 7 days of taking our classes, you don't have to be there for 7 days, but you will see yourself progress in skill. And then after that, we can talk about you signing up. But no contracts. You can pay to play, and if you don't want to play no more, you don't have to pay no more.
Yeah, I like that, and that's having a different approach, even on that level, is really important for our community because it is very standardized. You do see a lot of the same kind of stuff being taught around, but again, it's the sport. So like, because I know from Marcelo Alonso, like there's a chain of schools and stuff like that, affiliate schools. When it comes to like Muay Thai, like we've got a couple affiliate schools and stuff like that for Swiss Muay Thai, but you'll see people. I mean, there's no huge secrets, like you said. There's just different applications and different moments. And yeah, there's people that get creative with it, and that's the part of the artistic side of the martial arts. Your medium is the martial side, the fighting side, the war side. You don't think martial, and the arts is the creativity behind that. And you're gonna have to have both. You can't be too creative when you don't have a fucking stand. So fundamentals or foundation class is important, like you said. And you can't be, you can't not, well, they're hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And you see people that are like just coming in to compete or think that they're going to compete. And they don't last very long because they don't have the understanding that there is a give and take. So again, you referred to, I don't want to go back to the games. You had a black belt, or you're saying like, and if you have to pair them off with a blue belt, now you have to adjust the games a little. Black belt's seen pretty much everything at that point, right?
Yep.
Blue belt has not. So, but they're learning. Like they're at that point where they're learning. Again, I don't do jiu-jitsu, but being a student of the martial art, you can take what you have learned from other people without having to have done it yourself. So, let's say there's a blue belt that wants to come in, and you pair them off with a black belt. The blue belt's intimidated, like, oh, I have to play this game against this guy that I know is at the top levels. They've spent the time to achieve that. What would you say to the blue belt to keep them okay? And like, obviously they understand a little bit of that. What would you say to the black belt to not get the fuck, man? I gotta go with a blue belt.
Well, if a black belt comes into my room, they most likely already know what they're going to get into. I've been very blessed with a lot of black belts coming in and then experiencing what it's like to train in the environment. They know what they're pretty much getting into. The blue belt, if they never like articulate any like discouragement to the situation, then I never really have to worry about it too much.
Okay.
But I can give you an example. Of creating like some type of game. If I was to have a standing game between the blue belt and the black belt, and they were standing like side by side with an underhook and an overhook, I would make the black belt go for multiple things before they can win the game. And then I would tell the blue belt, you only have to do one thing.
Right.
And it would create that disparity in the actions that need to happen so that black belt, one, has to work harder to get the thing that in their head they've already decided that they're going to go for. So now if they win the game, or when they win the game, that blue belt realizes, okay, they won it like that this way. I can't let that happen anymore.
Yeah.
And then eventually the blue belt won't. And then the black belt has to process, how do I get to the thing that I just won the game with?
Yeah.
Repeatability is a big thing like that we have to do in order to refine a skill and develop the confidence to do it. So that's now a big thing where it could be something as simple as you win the game if you pick a single leg up. But the black belt, you have to capture the head, and then you have to capture the body, and then you have to capture the leg.
Okay.
So you have to go from the furthest point progressively closer to the last. But with the blue belt, I'll just tell them, like, you can connect your hands anywhere, but if you get their leg, you win.
Okay.
And that would be how we would start to paint this game. Now, in the situation that I specifically talked about, the underhook player will have different options on how to win than the overhook player win. Maybe I won't even let the overhook player win. Maybe I'll just tell them, hey, your job is to not let them connect their hands anywhere, and just continuously do that, and then see what kind of emerges. Can they even do the thing? Because maybe all of a sudden that blue belt is, maybe he lifted weights, maybe he wrestled for a little bit, and that black belt, maybe they didn't wrestle, maybe they just have only done jiu-jitsu. So a black belt may be connecting their hands around a blue belt that understands the concepts of hand fighting and the idea of how to manage space between two bodies. Maybe that black belt will never even win the game. But we won't know until we start to see what happens, because eventually what could happen is I could go, oh, blue belt, you're way better at this than the black belt is. Swap. Now you have the harder game. Black belt, you have the easier game. But it's me as a coach to notice that. It's the responsibility of the athlete to humble themselves to go, he's right, or she's right.
Yeah.
Let me make this game easier for myself so I can get better at it. Most specifically for like the sport that I teach, most black belts in jiu-jitsu that only did jiu-jitsu are not really good at the idea of wrestling or taking people down. Especially if they come from more of like a gi-centric type of training where there's a lot of reliance on grasping things that are connected to the body rather than grasping the body itself. You still get the effect of being able to manipulate someone grasping the thing on them, but the real skill starts to emerge when we take that away from them, where we can take the thing that they're most good at and then we tell them, hey, you have to only grab the wrist, elbows, shoulders, and head in any combination to make your connections. You cannot use the cloth. So it's the thing that we have to try to look at as like the athlete. I have to become better at the things that I wasn't good at. And that's the constant pursuit of martial arts in its whole. I used to like love, doing barambolos, spinning upside down, and like all these fancy schmancy movements. But when it came down to the foundations of just understanding how to pass guard, I probably wasn't like that knowledgeable about it. So now making it so that even the black belt can come into a foundations class that is very small-sided games, they can eventually take those simple ideas and then transition those into a more difficult situation. Because the black belt is a smart person. The black belt is actually very experienced and they have a lot more touches in the thing that we're doing, but we want to give them certain things to now look out for so that they can start to increase their own skill. Because eventually what ends up happening is you get someone to like a certain level in like your school and they become good enough for now them to know what you're doing, but then you have to go, I have to become more creative, because if I don't, then I won't ever get the thing. And if they're stopping me, well, that's a great demand on me as like the athlete himself. So it's an ever learning process for me trying to understand, because what it does come from is it takes away from this idea that I have to be a perfectionist with something like martial arts. And it now allows me to think of more in an athletic mindset where I can use the qualities that I have as an organism to interact inside the environment. Because in competition, I'm never, ever finding myself upset that I'm stronger than people. But when I find myself being big broed in a competition, I go, that's a me problem. So, I mean, that's just kind of how I want to keep the spirit of competition alive. Be directing someone's competitive drive has to scale forward into higher competitiveness, but also it has to go in the reverse order as well too, in order for us to actually learn how to do something new. Just increase variety in our game.
Yeah, I actually really like that. You said a couple of things that I want to touch on. I really like the games and changing things up. So we do like little games like that, but specifically, like you said, like very much the focal point. Like, what is the focal point of the drill here? Like sometimes I'll be like, well, you're gonna kick. Like this person's job is to absorb it or block it. It doesn't mean that you're just gonna blast away. Like you're setting them up for good defense. And the person that's going back and forth, now you need, if they're side to side, like say it's just going alternating body kicks, or even if it's just one side, you're going to need to find your timing, and it's going to be fun. Like we do, it's Crew Jones drill, but it's a full body guard. So you just right leg, left check. So you're just same side, and you just go back and forth, and you just one kick, one block, and just one person's kicking, and then you got to check their return kick. And you see people like they're tired, but and stuff like that. And you don't have to be, I do this during fundamentals of class and stuff like that. You don't have to be good at this to know how to throw a kick specifically. But to know how to throw a kick well is another thing. So like you said with the black belt, like they've had all these touches, they've done this a bunch of times. If I pair them off with somebody that's in the first 3 months or something, they're gonna have a lot to give. But I'm trying to separate the socialism hour and have them or socialist hour, or socializing hour, I say socialist, but fucking nasty. No, but that person that doesn't understand, I'm hoping that they're watching how this is being done. by the higher level person. And then there's one kid, I talk about him all the time, but he's extremely athletically gifted, like world-class gifted. But he's a little bit of a not slacker, but like a joker, class clown type stuff. So you see him slack a little bit, just a little bit, on the fundamental stuff because he can do all this wild athletic shit really well. So he can kind of cheat the system a little bit. What I do like is, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, Jagger, if you're listening, but he's backtracking now and he's doing a really good job at correcting these little nuances because now he's good enough to where he sees that he can be really good. But before you know, how are you supposed to know? It takes that experience and, like you said, those touches. And in combat sports, this is not something you're going to pick up within 3 months or 6 months. This is going to take a while. You're going to start to enjoy it in that amount of time and be something that you want to continue. And then something you said, like, jiu-jitsu doesn't necessarily make you strong. You're doing things outside of that to become strong. But when somebody else bullies you or beats you at your own game or something like that, and there's people that are like really flexible, like yogis and stuff like that, and they have their attributes and stuff like that. And you're like, fuck, I couldn't get a hold of this guy. He's so slippery. Everybody's gonna have those kind of like, this is what works for me. This is what works for me. When you kind of get beat at your own little bit of a forte, it calls into, just a quick reflection of what you're doing, but maybe you're not as big or as bad as the next guy. And those real level competitions kind of prove that shit. So again, I train at our gym. As a coach, I don't really go out and cross train and cross spar at other gyms. I will a little bit, and it's getting more common. But also don't want to be that guy that walks into another gym and has a fucking target on your back because you're a coach somewhere else. You know what I mean? And that's a very real thing too. But not being the big fish in the small pond, going out to competitions, getting people, like we have people come down to our gym all the time for sparring for Muay Thai, and they're good, and I'm like, okay, on par with most of them. Sometimes it's a rough round, but I don't care. Nothing's as rough as my rounds with Juan or Crew Jones. So I've got the two bullies right there. That's all I don't say that's all I really need, but again, just finding ways to adapt. And sometimes, like you said, I just like what you said about, you're a big, strong dude, but if you get somebody that's bigger and stronger and you're like, fucking or like, again, like to the yogi thing, you guys have two different fucking styles, but what's correct? What's right?
Both.
Well, both, yeah. And it's what's going to happen in that moment, because if you guys are training partners, you would know each other's nuances. You would know how to get through this. It's like having a lot of training partners that are southpaw and striking. You're going to see that look a lot. Southpaws see orthodox fighters all day. Orthodox fighters see orthodox fighters all day. Orthodox versus southpaw, oh shit, what do I do? So we're very adamant about, like, this is how you work with southpaws. This is what you do. This is the mirror, blah, blah, blah. But just always being a student, always trying to find a way to work things for even people that are higher level. And that's another thing is, most gym owners, they're going to be the top dog in the gym. So you being a brown belt and let's say you have a black belt come in and you're like, this person is technically better than me. But this is still my gym. That's where it's like, there's like a weird little offset for some people. But again, like, so here's something I wanted to say. I was like, oh, I'm going to ask Rudy about this. So for some reason I thought, because of the purple belt thing, I thought you were a purple belt.
Yeah.
Okay, but brown belt, obviously. And I know you're very big on the no gi. Do you guys even train gi over there? No, I mean, it's fine if not. I'm just curious.
No, I don't train gi over there anymore.
Okay.
I removed the gi. I had a post when I removed the gi, and it was for a summer or something like that I was originally intending to do it for. One of the biggest reasons why I ended up taking the gi away was because in the environment that I was working in to try and build a program that it was my responsibility to, I was finding that, one, trying to balance a schedule that made other customers have to, unfortunately, the way that I'm going to say this might sound like I'm being an ass, but be more accountable with, it's Tuesday, I got to pack my gi and my gloves. Oh, it's Wednesday, all I got to have is my shorts and my gloves. let there be too many opportunities in the last environment that I was in where people who had just the need and or the want to train grappling, they'd show up on a day where they go, I forgot my gi, or oh, I have my gi, it's no gi today. And for them, it's their psychological cop out of, oh, I can't train today, therefore I won't train today. And I know that that might be an ass way to look at it, but I'm also the same person that would go, no, bro, just train anyway. Just train anyway. It's no big deal. I don't care. Like, if your partner cares, that's on them, you know? So, and then that also being, the big thing is too, I'm not a black belt. I got my brown belt in 2018 from James Foster. And then, you know, as life moved forward, I trained at different schools that were under the same affiliation as Foster. I would like go and help and teach for them. And I got my introduction into like truly having to have like a progressive lesson when I was teaching for someone else. And I always had it in the back of my head for so long that if I wasn't going to be a black belt, then I wasn't going to be able to market my business the proper way to its fullest, to this highest degree that I could. I wouldn't have certain opportunities.
That's going to be the first thing people ask.
That's what people ask.
Right, they're going to be like, how, you know, you own a school as a brown belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally understand because that whole traditional side of things. But continue.
Yeah, but like eventually it was a thing that like I always pull the customers. I always pull the customers to see like what they want. Because there's some way that I can give them what they want. And being a part of a specifically MMA school like I was previously when I ended up constructing my own program, the kids wanted no-gi. And I was like, okay, let me test it out. Let me see what happens. Like, let me see how my market and business start to scale. And if I lose more people than I gain, then there has to be some type of reintegration of the gi because that's what people want. In fact, my part of the business did start to grow because no-gi was so ease of access. I'd have people who'd never trained grappling in their life or even like truly intended to show up because it was like ease of access. Like, I'll train grappling today. Great. You know? Then eventually what ended up happening was I started doing more of the research when I was trying to understand like how to change the way of like my teaching. And I know that it's a really big controversy in like the jiu-jitsu community specifically that if you don't train gi, then your no-gi must not be good. And vice versa, if you don't train in the gi, then your gi must be bad. But what it really is now we as the athlete and the practitioner have to develop an understanding of the benefits and the cost of staying in one place for too long. I want to reintegrate gi back into my school, and I actually have students that show up and they bring their gis and they do the class. And like, you know, the big thing for them is I allow them to start to be creative with things that they use in the gi, as long as they stay within the constraints of what we're trying to do that day. Now, if we have like a mismatch and we have a gi versus a no gi player, like I don't want the gi player to start doing crazy lapel chokes to like
100%,
that the other player can't do. They have a responsibility as a training partner to now limit themselves even though they have the benefit of the cloth if they want it.
Yeah. It's like that handicap in golf or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you have to scale it down or whatever. So,
Yeah.
God, my tongue is killing me. But so the reason I wanted to ask that is because, again, you said, I mean, the controversy of the black belt, blue belt, purple belt, whatever it is. That is like quickest differentiation between what skill level you're at. So people, like you said about, like we were saying about owning a business or owning the gym as a brown belt and trying to sell it as the gi. But you're in that full program. So it's obvious that like you partake, you understand the gi, you know what you're doing. So it's not like you're saying these things from a non-realistic standpoint or like a non-understanding, like, oh, I just do no gi and gi sucks because I don't do it kind of thing. You have a full in-depth understanding.
Yes.
And because we do both, like, I mean, I don't really roll over there, but I see like 2 or 3 days a week it's no gi, 2-3 days a week it's fucking gi. And you see people excel at, I mean, they all practice both. And I know from what they have told me is they like the gi because it's a lot more basic, because there is no, like what you said, like lapel grabs, or you're not gonna feed your fucking kimono through the leg and trap it that way. But and I think that adds to a lot of the understanding, like all the encompassing techniques that are possible versus ones that are like, hey, if you're gonna do MMA, this is gonna be a little bit more realistic, like you were saying. This is not the old school where you can still come out in the gi, like it's not your old school UFC days.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is important that we understand like what is going to be the most realistic for competition, and like what if your competition is in the gi at a jits tournament. God, I can't talk. But if you're going to go do MMA, like you're going to need the skill in the gi, but it's not going to be relevant for your fight. Same thing is why I didn't do jiu-jitsu training when I have a kickboxing fight coming up. Like I need the skill set and the craft to be as best as possible. So there's no wrong way about it. And I used to really like watching like EBI and stuff like that when they smack each other or whatever that is. And it's like, okay, they can actually strike a little bit, and it shows that there's a little bit more of a level here. It's like, because everybody loves that whole what if of MMA, especially, That's why I think that Muay Thai and kickboxing doesn't sell as well, is because that what if factor of getting taken down and getting punched in the face on the ground, getting left out, it's not there. And so the knockouts and shit are still there, but it's still, you're still gonna be like, yeah, but what if fucking get a wrestler against that guy? You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
You eliminate with that with the possibility of the takedowns. But again, you're not gonna see as high level striking. You're still gonna see high level grappling and stuff like that when it goes down there. And there's the other side. Most couch potatoes or casual fans that don't train, they don't know what the fuck they're watching when it goes to the ground.
No.
They know what a punch is, they know what a kick is, they know what a fucking elbow to the face and you're bleeding. They know what that is. They know what tackling somebody and just punching away. They know what that is. So, and I'm not saying that people that don't just watch UFC aren't educated, because they know what arm bars are, they know what rear naked chokes are, barimbolos, like that's not, I mean, you know what I'm saying, like head and arm chokes. Like that was something that Marcelo used to call for over at Logic. It's Aaron Martin, Papa Martin. He'd be like, so Crew Jones' nephew, he'd be like, head and arm. He'd just do it. Head and arm, just do it. And I know that's a very simple, like, and easier thing to pull off. But it's funny when you hear people just call it over and over, and they just do it on command.
Yeah.
And so you see where, and I believe these were back in like some of the no-gi days when they would really do that. So you see like the application being done on a high level for all aspects. And what I want to dial it back to, again, you explained like why you kind of took the gi away, but when you teach people now that want to do the gi, but you're very specific in emphasis currently on no gi, what is it that you kind of explain to them as like why this is important, or like why, like the philosophy side of things, like why is gi much more important to you at this stage than, or why is no gi more important to you at this stage than the gi? And obviously you've done both, and you're well versed in both.
Yeah. I think there was two real experiences that I had in my actual life. I had just blown my whole knee apart back in 2020 when like the world ended.
Yeah.
And I went through that whole I had to do the rehabilitation phase by myself. So I had to be progressive thinking, forward thinking, find a way to reintegrate myself back to sport so that I could play in a safe way. I ended up working myself back into a competition. I did like a local competition here that was in like the Armory. And I remember I went up in weight because I was doing nothing but eating steak and spinach and lifting weights. I transitioned my whole like apartment into a weight room one time. I lived on the 3rd floor. And I would lift weights at like
clanging and banging in the middle of the night. Like,
I would wake up at 3 a.m. because I would go and I'd lift weights, do my whole rehab, and then I worked a job. I was in college, and I was just balancing life the way that the world was spinning it for me that time. And I came back. I went from like 150s into like almost 90 coming back to sport, which. In most cases, when like you see people return back after like a surgery, we see them come back sometimes too early. There's loss of mass gains, strength, skill, of course. I worked myself into a competition, and I looked at the dude that I was going to go against, and I went, fuck me.
Big guy? Or?
Big dude.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Obviously skilled, but big. And at that point, I hadn't, even though I was working out and exercising, I looked at him and went, damn, that's a big dude. Mm-hmm. And I remember he got a hold of me. We were grappling. I tried a flying armbar. I missed it. We kept going. He was on top of me, like holding me from half guard, and he went for a gi choke. As he was going for like the gi choke using his own sleeve, and he set it in, I panic tapped. So I tapped, I lost the match. But as soon as he like put pressure on it, his whole sleeve ripped on his kimono. And we use a kimono that's thick and it's not meant to do that.
Right.
And I was like, dude, that sucks. I shouldn't have tapped. Like, obviously his gi ripped. Like, I could have probably still fought back. All these what ifs. Mm-hmm. But then I'm looking at the gi, and it's like, and it wasn't a trash gi. It was like a nice, I think, show-your-roll gi or something like that. Okay. And I was like, damn, that sucks, you know. And I didn't process it at the time of like the gi's ineffective. I was just like more disappointed in the result of what had happened. Mm-hmm. Fast forward some more time, I end up bouncing at a bar. I was a bouncer at a bar for a little bit, and when I was bouncing at the bar, I watched a YouTube video before I did this, and I made this decision. Some guy who is even more controversial, I would argue, now than he was back then, was this guy named Andrew Wiltsey. And he had this video that was a long explanation of him saying, like, if you think that you're effective at grappling, like, you should go get a job bouncing and see what happens. And it was obviously way more worded than that. And I go, you know what, he's fucking right. So I go and I get it. First day, I get into an altercation.
I bet, yeah.
And it wasn't something that I had chose. Like, ironically, it was some guy trying to do what I do. He was trying to punch up. And I'm like, damn, bro, you're fighting at your weight class a little bit right now. And I hit a nice foot sweep on him. He fell down the stairs. You win the fight. He's embarrassed. He walks out. And as time kept going on, more altercations would take place. I would find myself trying to put myself in good tactful positions so that I could understand how to be safe, assist the situation, and then continue working as like time went on. Because I had a knee that was like still rehabbing at the time. Yeah. And luckily enough, I spent over a year and a half at that location bouncing and just getting a real good feel on, you know, what really worked, what was realistic, how could I remove someone from a location that they were no longer welcome at, one, but then do it without hurting them. Yeah. Because the liabilities and stuff of people who work security out here, some of the responsibility doesn't fall on the business. The responsibility falls on us. Mm-hmm. And I had seen some pretty awful things happen, and I had been in some pretty big altercations that resulted in some people like getting hurt. And I was like, it was a bring back to reality of like, you know, we are human.
Right.
And eventually I was like, you know what, like, this is the reality. Like, I never find myself using someone's flannel, or I mean, if they were in a Carhartt, like maybe, but like, I'm most likely digging for underhooks to like get a body lock and pick them up and like walk them out the door. And I'm like a little dude that's like 175 pounds at the time, like me lifting up a dude and walking him out the door and then setting him outside the gate and be like, don't come back here. Sometimes
that's actually really funny.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, because like I never wanted to actually like hurt anyone, but unfortunately I did work with some people that the result of the interactions that they had resulted in like not so great of things happening on either side. And it was like that reality. I was like, damn, I hate to say it, but the reason that happened was because you actually can't fight. And every single other bouncer would be in there talking about this scrap or that scrap, and I'm just sitting here like, damn, I don't want to be here anymore. You know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So you're bouncing with these people, and the whole that's a scrap or whatever, like that is kind of bullshit, because like, well, just to touch on what you said, insecurity and stuff up here in Washington, you, like you said, you're kind of liable for going too far.
Yes, sir.
Like, you can go too far, and then they're like, well, you didn't use the least amount of force necessary. You're a civilian until you're in the court of law as a martial artist or a fighter. And now you're kind of in this weird gray area. So you're not technically non-civilian, but you're not a normal civilian. And real quick, for the type of people, nobody's a fucking registered weapon. That's a myth. Do not be the. I mean, maybe this guy, but he had to go to Guam to do it and volunteer. But no, there are people out there that are like, I'm a fucking weapon. Like, you're not. Like, you're a person, and you don't want to go into these things thinking that I'm gonna be a badass bouncer, because you're not gonna be a badass bouncer for long. You're gonna be in the court system real quick for a long time, and I always say, like, you have a split second to make a decision, and they have forever, as long as they want and need, to destroy your decision, to rip it apart and destroy your life for it. So it's just kind of one thing that there's very few, like, macho, I'm a fucking badass inside of the gym. Like, that shit gets weeded out. You might be that guy with your buddies inside the gym, but you're not like usually a dick about it. Those guys are typically a little bit, probably untrained, or have like a drop of training to feed their ego. Yeah. But the whole bouncer thing, when you get in there and you're like, I don't want to be here because of these fucking, not just because of these people, but like the implications that you could have just in a bad moment. And but to go in there with the intent to learn this kind of things, rather than just somebody who needs a job and they kind of fill the hole. You know what I mean? Like, you know, tough dude, you know how to handle yourself. Most people are just looking to fill or pay the bills at that point.
Yeah, you know, one person that I definitely drew a lot of inspiration from was, and this would sound maybe really corny, but dude, Boss Rutan.
I love Boss Rutan.
Boss Rutan, he's like an original gangster for a reason. I'm pretty sure you've seen the, you know, bar self-defense videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, he is.
You know, I wouldn't take it that far, you know,
right.
But the ideas and the...
I'm going to snap your neck.
The things that he was talking about was like, were real. And I'm like, you know, obviously in the 90s and early 2000s, it's the best way that you can monetize yourself as like as a combat sports athlete. But there are some, like, all good jokes got truth in them. Even if it's a joke that you're like smashing the dude's head at the corner of the table and stuff like that. Maybe it's not, maybe it is.
You know, in Amsterdam, they got a lot of different laws. I was there.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that one specifically, but like, pedestrians don't have the right of way at all times and shit like that. No. You better watch the fuck out for that bus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have insurance, but you don't.
Yeah, it's a different world. But the Boss Rutan thing, like, I forget who was talking about it, but they're like, that's like a UFC event, you know, and Boss Rutan's there. And I don't know if you know who this is, but old linebacker for Urlacher. So you know the story. And then he's like steps on him, whatever. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And Urlacher's a big dude. And they're like, bro, not him. Like, Boss Rutan's like, okay, man. And Boss Rutan's a big dude.
Yeah, heavyweight champion at one point.
Yeah,
yes.
Fucking monster.
Yeah.
And have you heard the one where they're like trying to buy weed in Amsterdam or they're in Holland?
No, but go ahead.
All right. So another one, they're like, oh man, you know, it's like we're trying to buy some weed. We're just hanging out with the guys and whatever. And then like, so they sell them some weed and they're like, hey man, this is not enough. You better fucking cough up some more weed. And they're like, man, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. And he's like, I'm going to fuck you up right here and now if you don't. And they're like, so they call the dude and he fucking brings them a whole bunch more. But they're like, bro, you're about to get fucked up for selling those shitty dime bags to Boss Rutan. In fucking Holland or whatever. I think that's where he said he was. But when I was there, man, it's just a little different. Nobody's like, it's way more so. There's no ego. You don't see ego. I don't know if you've been. I know you've traveled a lot because of the military, but it's just I was only there for a brief period. But you hear all these things about Dutch kickboxers and Holland and stuff like that, and you go over there and you're like, first of all, Europeans are big. Holland, they're the biggest people in the world. The toilets sat higher, and I'm doing this shit. I'm like, this is not comfortable. Legs are going numb. It's on the wrong, like, and then also, I can't remember if it was Paris or Switzerland. They were shorter. Or no, it was Italy. It was shorter. I'm like, what in the fuck? Like, get your shit together. You're up. So no, I'm just weird little things. But going to the gyms and stuff, and Dutch kickboxers, they fucking go hard. Yeah. Like, not every strike, but it was kind of nice. I was talking about this the other day, and like, in one of their classes, and like, just like the reason I was asking about the black belt versus the blue belt. So I'm over there and get partnered off with a dude, and he's like, he's Turkish. And so a couple of the other guys are Turkish over there. And I don't know if they're speaking Turkish or Dutch to each other. And he's like, oh, blah, 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 something, something. Like, fuck, I got to pair off with this American. And so he's like, starts going. We're doing catching with the gloves. And I'm just like, catch, catch, catch. And he's like, goes a couple more rounds. And then he starts speaking like with a big smile to the homeboy, the dude that fucking sent me over there from the fight shop. And he's just like, oh, and he's like, I was telling him you're actually pretty good. So he's like, I was like, yeah, you can go harder. I was like, I know how to hold pads and hold mitts and stuff like that. So I start throwing it's like a triple kick, something that you don't do a lot of, but it's good to keep you in line and continuing forward. Mm-hmm. So he couldn't throw the triple kick because his knee was fucked up, but I could. And they're like, okay. And so the dudes, the Sifu over there, or whatever, or Sifu Sensei, I can't remember exactly. I don't want to disrespect, but it's not crew like in Muay Thai. But as I'm leaving, he's like, hand on the shoulder. He's a bigger dude. And he's like, oh man, you're really good. He's like, anytime you want to come back, like, he's all smiles and stuff. He's like, I didn't know, it just was a good feeling going to another environment that's not a US based egotism thing, but still having good interactions and stuff like that. But again, the boss room thing and the black belt thing kind of got me to that point. But there's a lot to be said for high level competition, and I think that's what you're applying to the sport. And again, dialing things full circle back to your social media posts, you can tell that in the way that you're breaking these things down. So it's not from an uneducated, fuck that, it's not gonna work against me, bro, or like anything like that. It's just like, hey, let's draw attention to this. And you're a good dude. I wouldn't have you on here if you're some shithead. I'm not gonna have a shithead on my podcast. Podcast won't even end up getting aired at that point. If somebody comes to my house and is acting shitty, like that's bad etiquette. But again, I'm not gonna have a shitty person on my podcast. I would not have you on if it wasn't the podcast. Some people at the gym are gonna be like, hey man, you called out our black belt thing. Like, hey, I've been asking guys at the gym for a long time to come on too. So before we close out, I want you to give your shout outs, but I want to say I appreciate you coming on and clarifying some of this stuff, especially being that I'm right across town. I'm guilty by association. I got my Vital gear in there. I got Vital right here with Mythic right here. And it is okay. It's okay to branch out. It's okay to have different opinions. Let's help each other rather than shun each other. Because like, let's say one day you decided to show up and do no-gi at our gym. It would be absolutely fine. Yeah. If somebody showed up at your gym it would be absolutely fine. Yeah. And so I wanted to make that differentiation. Same with Muay Thai, kickboxing. We're more of a community at this point than we need to keep everything for ourselves. Like you said, there's no secrets. So now it should be just growth in different levels of application. And the cross training's huge. I know you've invited us over and like, hey, anytime you want to come down to Muay Thai kickboxing, we're open. Same for you guys. You know what I mean? And being that we're in such close proximity, I think it's good that if we have that and be like, hey, we can still be competitive too.
Absolutely. Yes.
But yeah, what do you want to say before we close out? We've been going about an hour and a half. We need to shut down about 15, 20 minutes from now.
Yeah. Cool. Shout outs.
Do it.
Connor, Miggy, I love you guys. Without
that guy right there.
That guy right there.
On Northwest Fight Challenge, April 4th.
Yep.
Where Relentless Mouth Guards and podcast will be, Sway City Podcast will be out first. Sorry.
No, dude, you're good.
Shout out to Connor and Miggy.
First, actually, no, I should thank Relentless. I used to actually have very cheap mouth guards that I would buy off of Amazon and stuff like that. And I was always like, I can make it work with $30, $40 mouth guards. The first time I got a custom fit mouth guard, I rocked it in a competition. Forgot that it was there, no problems breathing. I even had my post-match cry after I lost my medal match, and I forgot that it was in all the way until I got in my truck. So it is that
was the pink one I made?
That was the pink one that you
Yes!
made. Yeah.
Love hearing that.
Yeah, so like, it's really one of the best things out there, especially I had braces, and I know that my mom will always tell me, don't mess up the smile that I bought you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, get your mouth guard, shop local.
Thank you.
Obviously, you're a cool ass dude who's always like willing to like help us like in the community.
Yeah.
Shout outs, Connor, Miggy, I fucking love you guys. Without you two, I would not have made the jump and changes necessary to become the man that I know that I'll look up to in a couple years. Mom, Dad, thanks. You guys probably will never see this, but thanks. You guys are the fucking best. Everyone around the area that does grappling, does jiu-jitsu, I fucking love every single one of you. I don't care if you think that we have beef, or we never talk, or we train every single weekend with each other. Everyone is always invited. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. comp class. I promise you will not leave any worse than what you walked in with. Coach Micah, you helped me understand a lot of stuff about the sport and the industry. And without you and being able to watch you go through your journey, I would not have the mindset that I do now about not really caring. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Of course.
And hopefully we train together soon, dude.
We will.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
we're right around the corner. But actually wanted to touch on what you said about like how Micah helped you understand the sport and the industry. And then owning a gym or versus just training at a gym, it's a big, big difference. And now being the social media side is so big. I know Micah's got a huge following and all that stuff. And I know like it was like Bobby is now getting a bigger following. Like that's the formula. And if people don't know you exist, they're not gonna show up to your fucking gym.
Yeah.
You know,
I have a lot of aura, but not that much.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I barely, like, you see how much stuff I post. It's not that much of coaching at the gym, and it should be. And I've got a lot of footage, and I need to get that out. And my buddy Chris, that's a big videographer, Micah knows him as well. He's really encouraging me to do the same thing. And so the mouth guards, the podcast, and the coaching are now like the other business. Like this is, you said something about like becoming the man that you can look up to, and I'm that person for the kid that I needed. I'm that, like, I needed me now. When I was a fucking kid, I had to learn how to get through shit on my own. Like good, bad, it didn't fucking matter how I felt about it. Nobody's gonna be, not that I didn't have loving parents, but they were working. They had to provide the home and the food and stuff, and they were both single, so they're busting their ass on. And if I was upset about this, that, and the third, it's on me. It's on me to, like, I might get oh yeah, it's, tough luck, bud. That's about it. I remember being like 10 or 11, tell the story. My mom's like, we were broke. She was working 2 jobs, and she wouldn't go on welfare, wouldn't get food stamps, none of that kind of stuff. Now it's not food stamps, but
something else.
EBT, whatever. But it was food stamps back then. You were working with the fucking book of foods. Anyway, book of stamps. But anyway, she was busting her ass, and I remember one day she was like, "I got you something." And I'm like,
"Yeah,
for real?" Like, this has been like a couple of years since I got something. She hands me a stick of deodorant. Like, I know
just how to do it, Mom.
Yeah, I love my mom. My mom's like the best, but like going through those struggles, and like now knowing that it doesn't matter what I go through, to not give a fuck is the best aspect. So going back to what you said, especially in social media, somebody's gonna have something to say. I was watching some dude that earlier, he's like super controversial, he's all of a sudden blowing up. I was watching him hold pads, and I'm like, okay. I mean, but again, I can be critical, but I'm not going to be vocal necessarily. I'm not gonna shit on the guy. He's doing his thing. There's space for everybody to grow. There's a big piece of the pie, or a big pie out here. We can all have a piece. And, I know you're busting your ass to do your thing. And Connor, Miggy, all you guys, you run a good program. You're all cool dudes. Miggy, I'll have your mouth guard to you on Friday, because that's the earliest you're available.
Yeah.
But I'll be popping in there doing a couple more mouth guard things. So appreciate you guys having us out, supporting early on, building the community. Again, I'll have people on here. Send people my way if you got recommendations. Anybody listening, same thing. No shitheads, don't come on here and be like, I fucking hate everybody. I'll knock everybody out in a heartbeat. Like, I don't want some fucking doped up fucking dude up in here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just like, you see things in the industry. And like,
course.
I've got a lot of recommendations and stuff. And I'm like, if I'm not comfortable with you, I'm probably not going to have you on the show.
Yeah.
But everybody's cool. Like, I don't have that really with anyone. Everybody's been really nice. I really appreciate all the support. It's a lot of fun doing what we're doing. It's a lot of fun linking up. And then back to what I said, you owning a gym, being able to grow, and whatever that leads to, hopefully like full financial shit, and like just that's all you got to do. You just be Mr. Rudy at the gym, Mythic Rudy.
Yeah.
That's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to build towards, but you're doing it, and in a couple of years you'll be there. You know what I mean? Or whenever it hits, maybe it's 2 months from now, and your shit hits big, and you can be like, it fucking worked out.
Yeah.
Only reason I say this because that's what's working for me. It's like working hard, building the community, and like you said, I can't remember exactly how you said it, but being genuine, having like coming from a good place for growth.
Yeah.
I think that's what gets people to want to be around you. If you're only about you and you're like fuck everybody else, it shows after a long time or after a little bit of time, and you lose your crowd. So thank you for being a big part of the community. I'm gonna give my shout outs here real quick. Let's see. First of all, thank you again for having us out, Mythic. Shout out to my team, Vital Jiu-Jitsu. Don't take this as any sort of negative way. Please come on if you have anything to say too. But let's squash any animosity. That I know that's not what you're trying to do, and that's why I was like, come on, bro. Like, come on. Like, let them hear the real Rudy. 10-second clip, 20-second clip is not an indication of who you really are. Just like one lost round, one round is not an indication of how good you are. Shout out, Relentless Mouth Guards would not be in operation without Jeff the Ref Hoiby, formerly with Clinch, his old company. Starting off this mouth guard thing, I would have been out of business or would be facing the palms like, I don't know how to do this. I need somebody to teach me. It's why people go to dental school for this. So huge shout out to Jeff, partner working together. Shout out recently to Yakima MMA for having us out. All the other teams, Pinnacle Martial Arts, there's Ivan Salivary and Zero Sum Martial Arts are trying to get us scheduled to have us out. Big shout out to Brian Johnson, just did the Pride podcast. Northwest Fight Challenge, April 4th. Relentless Mouth Guards will have a booth there, as well as on the side of that, we're going to be running fighter interviews with the Sway City Muay Thai podcast. So shout out to Connor. Connor's fighting for the belt. Michael Doption versus Zach Porter. Those are both, they've both been on the podcast. Zach Porter's bought a mouth guard. So there's 3 or 4 people fighting that night with Relentless Mouth Guards.
There we go.
So that's going to be fun. I'm hoping that everybody, this is going to be a banger of a card. Everybody show up. Centralia, April 4th. Don't miss out. Shout out to my team again. Kyle Mitchell, owner. Crew, Brian Jones Jr., Master Sauhin, Juan Jackson, our coaching staff, all of our team. Without you guys, we wouldn't be a staff. It's a business at the end of the day. You guys got to show up to do that. Lastly, shout out to my affiliate marketing friends over at Uwe. They just opened a new smoke shop out in new Rips out in Uwe. It's like 176 in Meridian, somewhere right around there. I haven't been there yet, but go check them out. They have their full location is open now. Huge shout out to them. Jess and AJ are a fucking awesome team.
Yeah.
Who am I forgetting?
I don't
Shout
know.
out to Koga. Omar, you're my dog. Hit me up, you know what it's about. Stop slacking. I think that's about it.
That's it, dude.
Yeah.
We did it.
Shout out to the community.
That's right.
Thank you again.
We're all winners, dude.
We're all winners. Yeah. The only ways you lose is if you quit.
Hell yeah,
So,
dude. Come